In 1993, Anthony, aged 21, became well known in Europe, mainly in the United Kingdom, for winning the first national Mr. Gay UK contest. This victory opened the doors to several jobs, but 15 years later, he would be the centre of attention again, but for very different reasons. For eating his own boyfriend for dinner after a psychotic episode. This is the story of Anthony Morley. At 2:30 in the morning of April 23, 2008, a boy named Anthony entered a restaurant wearing only pajamas and slippers, completely bloody, asking them to call the police as he had just taken the life of a man who tried to kill him and force him to have sex. Authorities arrived a short time later and quickly arrested him. Anthony Morley was born in 1972 in England. There is very little information about his childhood. A few sources say that he was born in Leeds and had a peaceful childhood without many social problems. As he grew up, he became a handsome and attractive boy, which attracted people's attention. This influenced him to pursue a career in modelling, starting with some smaller jobs and gradually growing. It was during this period of adolescence that Anthony began to explore his sexuality more. He never hid the fact that he was attracted to men, and on several occasions when he was among LGBT people, he called himself homosexual. But on other occasions, especially when people outside the circle questioned him about his sexual orientation, he said he was straight. In the end, he spent his adolescence having relationships with women and secretly with men. It is worth noting that he never used the term bisexual to define himself. He only used the terms straight and homo. As his career as a model grew, Anthony began to participate in several other activities related to the world of fashion and entertainment, such as participating in fashion shows and TV shows. Although he found success as a model, it wasn't his dream career. Anthony always wanted to be a dancer. However, until then, he had not taken any steps to make this dream a reality, such as attending dance classes, for example. Life kind of took him to the world of fashion, and he didn't say no to the job offers that came his way. In 1993, at the age of 21, Anthony signed up to take part in the first Mr. Gay UK. To reach the national final and represent their state, the participants need to win the local stage first, being the best of their states. And Anthony managed to win this stage, thus earning a place in the national final. It is worth adding that at that time Anthony was dating a woman, and at the national stage he took his girlfriend, who remained in the audience just as a spectator. She thought that he was in the contest just for the money and fame. But for the contest team, he had come out as gay, and no one there would suspect that a participant would lie about their sexuality. The contest took place at the Heaven nightclub in London, with approximately 20 other participants, and he also won there, becoming the first Mr. Gay UK. As a prize, he received £1,000 and an all-expenses-paid holiday to Gran Canaria, one of the Canary Islands located northwest of the African continent, but which belonged to Spain. When he returned from his trip, the model started to receive many more job offers. He participated in gay pride marches throughout the United Kingdom and in some European countries, as well as being invited on several TV programs. As time went by, Anthony realized that the gay world was giving him several opportunities for work, fame and money, and his then girlfriend didn't like him being involved in this environment for so long. Because of this, the two ended up separating. To optimize his career as an artist, Anthony decided to move to London. One of the TV programs he participated in was the program God's Gift. This program was a dating game show, which aired between 1996 and 1998. The program consisted of 5 contestants who went through a series of small tests, such as stripteases, talent shows, a questions and answers round. They tried to surprise the audience, who at the end of the program voted for the man they thought to be God's gift out of the 5. The winner then chose one person from the audience and asked them out, with the meeting being recorded and shown at the end of the program. Normally, the audience was made up of women, but every now and then, the program made special episodes aimed at the gay public, and it was in one of these versions in 1997 that Anthony, aged 25, was invited to participate as one of the 5 competitors on stage, and he ended up winning. He chose a guy for the date and everything went well. But that same day, another participant was in the audience, Damien Oldfield, who was 21 years old at the time and from Leeds. He returned to the program at a later stage as one of the 5 competitors and ended up winning the contest too. I mention this person here now, as he will be an important part of the events to come. As the years went by and Anthony got older, the opportunities for work as a model became less, and as a result, it became unfeasible to live in London due to the high cost of living. This led the model, already in his early 30s, to return to Leeds and embark on a new career path as a chef. Just like in his modelling career, Anthony started with lower-ranking jobs, but as he gained experience, he climbed the ladder in the kitchen until he became a sous chef, specialising in preparing seafood. Damien, the guy from the TV show, who was also from Leeds, was working as an advertising manager for Bend magazine, a gay male lifestyle magazine. Damien was a very extroverted, friendly person who got along with everyone. He was receptive, welcoming, and due to his work, and of course his sexual orientation, Damien frequented several clubs and gay events. Therefore, it didn't take long for him and Anthony to cross paths and get to know each other. Many say that what made the two come even closer was the discovery that they had both participated in God's gift and had been winners. Weeks after that first meeting, they both ended up starting a relationship. But Anthony was still confused about his sexuality because, as I said, he didn't consider himself bi. He sometimes identified as homosexual and thus had relationships with men, but other times he identified as straight and did not want any intimate contact with someone of the same sex. If this was confusing to him in his mind, imagine how it was for someone in a relationship with him. Because of this, the relationship with Damien did not last. Over the years, this lack of definition regarding his sexuality, as well as the failure to fulfill his dream of becoming a dancer, ended up creating a frustration within him, and he turned to alcohol. His drinking often resulted in violence. Several friends and partners reported that he became a very aggressive person when he drank. He even threatened to kill an attendant at a bar, as well as attacking one of his boyfriends, called Steve, with a butcher knife that he had at home. On that occasion with Steve, what happened was the following. The two had argued about money, expenses, but the atmosphere sort of calmed down and they remained in silence watching TV. After about 5 minutes, Anthony got up, went to the kitchen and came back with a knife, threatening him. Because Anthony was drunk, he tripped over and Steve managed to escape. Steve was very lucky, as a few years later, another victim wouldn't have the same luck. In April 2008, Anthony, now 36, randomly met Damien, who was 33 at the time. They exchanged numbers and started talking again. It was clear that there was a strong feeling between the two, but Anthony's uncertainty about his sexuality meant that he asked his partner to go slowly with the relationship, specifying that he did not want to have any sexual relationship at the beginning. On the 23rd of April, the couple met at Anthony's apartment for dinner prepared by him. He cooked one of his specialties, fish. The two then had dinner, talked, drank, and went to the bedroom, where they watched the movie Brokeback Mountain and slept. At 2:30 in the morning, Anthony visited a kebab restaurant that was close to his apartment, wearing only pajamas and slippers, completely covered in blood, asking them to call the police because he had just killed a man who tried to force him to have sexual relations. The authorities arrived a short time later at the scene and quickly arrested Anthony. The investigators went to his apartment, and when they entered, they came across a real scene from a horror movie. In the bedroom, Damien was dismembered, with muscles and organs exposed, and what shocked investigators even more was what they found in the kitchen. Pieces of the victim's body being cooked in a frying pan with olive oil, seasonings and fine herbs. A chewed piece of meat was also found in the trash, which suggested he had tried to eat it, disliked it, and spat it out. According to Anthony, he had woken up to find Damien on top of him, performing oral sex, something he had expressly said he didn't want to do. He felt betrayed, violated, a mixture of feelings that ended up triggering memories of abuse he had suffered when he was young. As I mentioned at the beginning, information about Anthony's past before he became the first Mr. Gay UK is scarce, and therefore it is not possible to confirm whether his story of sexual violence actually happened. Anthony said that the two started to fight and Damien became very aggressive and he had to defend himself. He said he went into shock and suffered a psychotic episode and that he couldn't remember anything else. He claims to have no memory of killing Damien nor of cooking his flesh. His next memory is of him sitting in the kitchen eating, and when he looked around and saw what had happened, he became desperate and ran out to ask for help. He said he believed that the act of preparing and cooking meat may have been an unconscious act of habit, as he was a chef and spent every day cutting and preparing food. However, the violence on Damien's part was doubted by the authorities, as the autopsy on the victim's body did not reveal any trace of a sexual act. In addition to reporting that he was most likely attacked from behind with a deep cut on his neck, which was the first injury he suffered, followed by more than 30 stab wounds. The worst thing of all was that no signs of defense were found on Damien's body, which indicated that everything happened when he was lying down, sleeping. Another strange thing was, everything happened in the bedroom, and Anthony had used a simple knife. After analysing the situation, the police believed that Anthony had gotten up at dawn, gone to the kitchen, picked up the knife, and returned to the bedroom, where he committed this heinous crime. Anthony's trial took place later that year, in October 2008. His lawyers tried to obtain a certificate to state that he had psychiatric problems, so that they could try to get a reduced sentence, or even to have him admitted to a psychiatric hospital. After several consultations, the doctor certified that Anthony had no disorder, and what happened may have been a one-off episode of memory loss. Psychoanalysts determined that alcoholism and violent behaviour could have originated from his internal frustrations, due to the lack of definition of his sexuality, in addition to the disappointment of no longer being able to live the life of a model that for many years provided him with a lot of money and glamour. The judge responsible for the case, James Stewart, declared it one of the most grotesque cases he had seen in his entire career. He described the accused as a person tortured by internal conflicts and also an extremely dangerous person capable of unimaginable acts. The trial lasted just 2 weeks, and on the last day, October 17, 2008, After 2 hours and 20 minutes of deliberation, the jury found Anthony Morley guilty. He was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 30 years in prison before being eligible for parole. At the end, several people watching the trial, inside and outside the court, shouted and applauded. Today, Anthony Morley is over 50 years old and remains in prison, where he works as a chef.